Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Today, we actually have Mr. Kian Aun. He is a certified professional coach, licensed estate agent, licensed auctioneer, trainer, speaker, group leader, and associate director of Hartamas Real Estate Sdn Bhd, and also on the board of directors for MIEA Malaysia. Welcome, Kian Aun. Welcome to our talk.
Hi, Ernest.
Kian Aun, can I just start with regard to your experience as a real estate agent in Malaysia? How long have you been a real estate agent in Malaysia?
I started real estate, I think somewhere in 2008, 2009. I think I started my real estate career with this company called C.H. Williams, Taha and Wong, WTW Real Estate. I think today they are known as CBRE, WTW. Then I think somewhere in 2013, I went to Australia and I practiced real estate in Australia for 4 years. And I get my license as the agent in Melbourne as well. So actually, I'm also a licensed estate agent in Australia. And I came back somewhere late 2017, and that's where I came back and I joined Hartamas and until now, today.
So with more than a decade. Yeah, you got more than a decade under your belt.
Yeah, correct. In terms of real estate. Yep.
Can I ask you, with regard to when you first joined the real estate industry all those years ago in 2008, and where you've seen probably economic cycles both here and in Australia, how bad do you see this MCO COVID-19 situation affecting the industry now? And has there been anywhere close to it before in the past?
I think this round, this cycle is slightly different in a sense that it doesn't only affect the financial and economical part of the sector. I mean the part, and because this time now it actually affects the life and health of individual. And I realized that people, when we go through the GFC, the previously the 911 things, is very much economical and financial crisis per se. But now it's different because it's a health crisis as well. People are now very concerned of not only financial, how is it going to affect their health. So the way I look at it is a little bit, I wouldn't say serious, but it's more alerting, more alarming. People are more cautious, not only in terms of financial. So people are willing to sacrifice financially. I mean, they don't go out to work because they are more concerned of their health. So this is something different I look at it at this moment. Yeah, but definitely, if on a global scale, on an economical scale, I think it seems like it's quite bad compared to the previous. So, but we don't know how long this is going to end. There's something that's why it creates a lot of uncertainty in the market as well. That's how I look at it.
One of the things that investors hate is uncertainty. Because with so much uncertainty, it's very difficult for them to sit down and plan. And particularly when they want to make a decision, it's a bit challenging because every part is moving. Can you share with us, based on the fact that you are also a team lead and also very senior in Hartamas Estate Agency, how do you actually work together with your clientele base that is looking to you for advice on whether to continue investing, divesting, or not doing anything right now? How do you advise them? And how do you advise your team to advise them?
If you look in terms of the market sentiment for the last, I think the MCO was somewhere mid of April for the last 3 weeks. I think at this moment, there are a lot of clientele who wants to sell, right? Because we came across, we do have sellers who wants to sell. The problem is they do not know what to do now because you can't have viewing. There are a lot of things, restrictions. So they are stuck. They say, I need to sell. And what am I supposed to do now? So this is one part. So then the other type of clientele is that they would want to sell, but they are not so, urgent to sell. They could probably be an investor who is renting out properties, things like that. And now their challenge is, especially landlord. Now the challenge is that managing the tenant. So tenants are depending on tenants. Some tenants, when they're in business, they suffer from the income loss, or there are people who can't go out to work. So investors wise, they are going to be affected in terms of rental income. Now, if in terms of buyers, there are also some hardcore buyers out there, right? They are just waiting for the right time to buy. They are just waiting for the right opportunity. So these people now suddenly think that, hey, is it the right time to buy? Should I enter the market now? Because it's in chaos, people are uncertain. So maybe they want to take opportunity of that kind of situation. So what we do is that we try to address our client we go on to a consultative approach. So instead of getting an easy way out, I say, hey, seller, now it's tough. I think you should reduce your price, things like that. We try to go in and understand the seller. Do you really need to sell now? Can you hold on to it, or can you wait? Things like that. Or if your tenant is reducing your rental, can you afford to reduce rental? Or if you cannot afford to reduce rental, if you insist on that, are you willing to lose a tenant because the tenant may just say, I can't afford and I got to move out? So we go on a very consultative approach, because during times like this, it's very emotional, right? Everyone is affected. It's very emotional. It's very stressful. People are worried, like you said, uncertain. So instead of trying to sell, we go on a consultative basis. How can we help you in that sense? So that's how we are trying to do, to be there. So to be there for our client when things are challenging. Yeah.
Can I just ask you, is this consultative selling mindset or consultative servicing mindset a new mindset that is only coming about now, or is it something that is part and parcel of what a good real estate negotiator is supposed to do?
Yeah, I think that is, if you ask me, that is what we should be doing, because you must understand, a client pays you a fee, right? Your fee of 3% for selling, 1.25% for tenancy. Now the question is, what is your clientele? Why are they paying you the 3%, right? For what? So basically it's the service that you provide, the advice based on your knowledge. So it's more like to me, it's more like advice, because you pay a consultation fee, right? They act based on your advice. They act based on your knowledge, based on your experience, based on what you advise them. That's the reason why they pay you. It's just like going to a doctor. Why you pay a doctor consultation fee? Because you want them to consult you. What is the right thing to do? What is not supposed to do? When is the right time to sell? So if you ask me, a consultative selling is the approach that we should be doing. But unfortunately, I know not many agents are doing that. Right? So that's how I see there's a lot of room for improvement in this profession. Yeah.
So do you see that this MCO period, and you see this COVID-19 having a silver lining, whereby those that are of the old way of doing it and those who are always wanting to be face-to-face, then only they can close sales, because right now face-to-face is very difficult and moving forward may be also still challenging. Do you see that this is probably the new way of how business should be run for real estate agencies and negotiators, whereby service is the number one component?
Yeah, I think that definitely. This MCO has actually brought up a lot of self-realization, because when things are okay, when things are normal, everything is normal. We just continue to do whatever we do. Now times are challenging. Things are not working. There are a lot of things we can't do. We start to sit down there and realize, say, what different can we do? What are the different things that we can do? So that's where we sit down and realize that we get into a lot of deep thinking, things like that. Then you come up with new ideas. But actually, those are not new ideas. Those are ideas that's already inside you. And because you take for granted, now suddenly you want to do things differently. It just surface, I should have done this, I should have done that. So when you say that all these things are the new trend, I think talking about video now, I'm sure a lot of video conferencing, you see flooding, the whole Facebook is flooding with all these Zoom video conferencing. A lot of people, gurus are out there, not training. But this thing is not new. It's already there. Nobody is using it, because now you have nothing else to do. You are forced to do this. Then suddenly you see a new trend coming up. But it's not something new, but it's just the things that we should do. It's just that we take for granted, we never do it. Now it's the time to do it. So that's how I think it's going to change. Definitely it changed, because now what you see is that there's a word they said, now try to getting used into abnormality or something like that. A norm that is not normal is going to be normal. So I think it definitely changed a lot of things, especially in the technology, digital era. Now people are realizing how important is technology or digital era is affecting the industry.
Yeah. And can I just ask you a semi-personal question? And the semi-personal question is this: if you actually have people wanting to join the industry and people wanting to make some hard choices as to how should one prepare themselves to become a successful real estate negotiator, what kind of mindset or skill set or ability should they have so that it's not just the past lessons of success that can work, but taking this into the future, the new normal that will happen? What do you think will be the new normal?
First thing come into mind is that let's look what is, as a negotiator when they join, let's look what is within yourself, what is within your control. The first thing is that I mentioned just now, we have to come into the mindset that we are no longer an order taker. We are no longer like a postman. I think someone mentioned that we are no longer a postman, right? We are there to provide consultation. We are there to advise. So you need to equip with knowledge. You need to equip with yourself with a lot of knowledge to provide what they call consultation. And because information, today digital age, information is out there. Is easily accessible because of all this information out there. Now you need to know, because have you ever walked into a store, you go into a store to buy a headphone, for example, and you realize that you know more than the salesperson. The sales, you may come across something like that, I'm sure. Now, then what is the value that this salesperson is going to add to you? Because you already know. So now the market is that the consumer are getting smarter, right? So if a consumer or a buyer, a client comes to you and you couldn't add the value, then why do I need to pay you a 3%? So the knowledge is there. You need to move to a level, become a consultative selling rather than an order taker. That's one thing. Now, this is what is within yourself. This is what you should upgrade. You should be going to that approach. Now, secondly, if we talk about external force, things that is not within your control, an agent who is moving forward, those who join today, they have to understand consumer behavior are changing. How people buy in future, like what you said, how people negotiate in future, how people shop in future. You have to take into consideration of what is the changes in technology. I'll give you an example. Now, during this MCO, there are people who say that, can I close a deal without actually going out to physically meet the person or do the physical inspection? Is this going to be a norm? So I look at it, I think the market is trying to embrace all this, right? People are now going to internet to build the trust, the relationship with the buyer, engage with the client, to build the trust so that making purchasing on internet easier and more reliable. That is what people are doing now. The agents are going to internet, build their branding, build their presence, build their credibility, build their trust, so that in future, when the trust is there, you buy things online, it's easier. Because the reason we go to internet to buy things is because we trust, because they have credibility, because whatever they say is true, is proven, and that's why I want to be with them. So this is what people are doing now. So I'm not surprised if one day this can happen. The other thing is that information are there. Things like paperless transaction, right? Can you sign an agreement online or using just sign online on iPad, right? There's some software, DocuSign, that can actually do that. The next thing you need to look into cashless. Can you purchase, a property using your e-wallet? Are you prepared for that? Now, very commonly, it's 360 is very common out there. So all these technology changes, and we talk about, I remember you had a few sessions a couple of years ago talking about big data, talking about blockchain, right? This is going to happen. Believe it or not, it's going to happen. Big data, people are collecting data. So you as an agent, you need to understand how to utilize this data to help you to do consultation, because information is out there. People know a lot of information. So if you cannot provide this type of value-added things, it's going to be a challenge, because you cannot compete in a market that if you are going to be left behind. So these are some new expectation I believe. And like what you say is true. I think the day you're saying something like consumer behavior. So I will foresee in future agents will change. The way of doing the agent will change. I'll give you an example. I would think that in future, agents are no longer hybrid anymore. This is my personal view. I think the agents will go into specialization. Either you are a buyer agent, you're a commercial agent, residential agent, because you can't be hybrid, because you need specialty. When you do a consulting, right? Just like you're a doctor, you need to be specialized in something, because that's how you consult. You cannot consult everything under the sun. You need to be specialized. That's one thing. And in future, I will also foresee a fee, for example, the commission they were talking about. Because of all this specialization, with all this expectation, I would foresee the fee is going to be based on merit. Merit means now we charge a fixed fee of 1%, 2%, 3%. I think moving forward, when the market change, the consumer becomes smarter, the thing change, I think your fee could be based on merit. If you bring in X amount of value, I'm going to pay you higher commission. If you underperform, you are not performing as expectation, I'm going to pay you lesser. So I think these kind of things may come. So if you are as an agent, if you want a higher fee, you make sure that you are a 5-star agent. And believe me or not, when I talk about 5-star in future, things could be like, when you go for an Uber or Grab, they will give you a rating of 5-star, 4-star. Believe me or not, in future, people are going to rate the agent. If I'm going to look for an agent in Bangsar, who is the top agent there? Kian Aun, this guy agent is a top agent there, he's a 5-star. People giving testimony. So buyer or seller will deal with this kind of people. They will go and look at the review. This is a 5-star agent. I want to deal with a 5-star agent because he's a 5-star agent. Simple as that. So I think this is going to come. If you are not going to upgrade yourself to that level, providing a good level of service, you drop out, right? You drop out. So I see this will happen.
Is there a big difference between how, say, and I'm trying to compare between your experience in Australia and here, in terms of the training of the negotiators over there and the training of the negotiators over here in terms of performance-wise?
Definitely a huge difference. All right. One I wouldn't say one obstacle or disadvantage is some may not agree with me. I see is that why Australia, their training level is different. Is number one, the language barrier. Let's put it this way. Australia, English, right? You cannot speak English. You cannot write English, you cannot read English, whether what kind of nationality you are, you can't survive there, because even the Chinamen go there, they need to understand certain level of English, because it's all in English. So whatever training, whatever things they conduct all in English. In Malaysia, whether you like it or not, yes, English is still the main, when you do the document, tenancy agreement, S&P is still English. But because we have a multilingual culture, so sometimes you have training in English, sometimes you have training in Mandarin, sometimes you have English in Bahasa. So the standard of the what you call standard may be different. So the understanding may be different, because the non-English speaking community, they will train different way. The what they call Mandarin speaking, they're trained differently. So the standard is different. Now, when you talk about professionalism, right? Whether you agree or not, I have to say this: the enforcement in Australia is very strict. If you do something wrong, I guarantee you will get into trouble. In Malaysia, whether you like it or not, our enforcement is still not there, right? That's why there's still a lot of issues that we need to improve on. So when you talk about professionalism, training, for example, in Australia, to become a negotiator, you need to go through an assessment. You need to go through an assessment before you become a negotiator. In Malaysia, you just need to attend a 2-day course. That's it. You can become a negotiator. Whether you understand, whether you know, whether you really attend the course, or even you're there or not, people will know. So that's the only thing that I think a lot of difference is there. Yeah.
So I guess you would say that the expectation of the clientele in Australia is of a certain level, and because it's at this level, all the service providers have to either meet or exceed that in order just to survive or excel. Whereas in Malaysia, it's still a bit fluid currently.
Yeah. So the expectation, you're right. The expectation of the client on agents are different because they know what kind of they know that the expectation. They know that what kind of level of service they can expect from an agent. Because the agents there, you see, I'm just sharing a lot of example with people like in Malaysia. There are so many illegal agents out there who are not following the laws. There's so many scams. There's so many what they call conmen out there. But the agents are complaining. The agents are saying that this is illegal. So I always share that for you, you can complain, right? You can complain. It just doesn't solve anything because the enforcement is not there. So the only way you can actually eliminate them is you elevate yourself. You elevate yourself to a level that they can't follow. So you set the level, what you said, an expectation, demand level that the client demand from you. You said, if I want to deal with an agent, this is what the agent should do. The expectation is that if the illegals can't do it, they will lose out. So I said, you elevate yourself to a level that they can't follow by providing a professional service, become a consultative selling. That is how you differentiate yourself. So that's how I look at it.
Well, I think that's very well said and very succinct as well. So one of the key messages I get from you is that if in order to succeed post MCO, because now I think the situation is as such whereby only the professionals and only those who are really good at their craft will be able to make it big in future.